Well, a very, very happy Thursday evening, and welcome to the John Kentera Show on YouTube, Facebook, and X, a special Thursday night edition. And a couple of reasons I wanted to do this. I wanted to see what kind of audience we get in the evening with the Padres being off. And the other reason is I have six grandchildren and I'm very active in their lives. And one of them is graduating from elementary school on Friday morning at 8 a.m. And I don't want to miss that. And so we wanted to do the show on Thursday night. But you know what? If this goes well tonight, we may make this a regular thing on Thursday night when the Padres aren't playing. And we got a lot to talk about. I'm going to get into the Padre game yesterday. We're going to talk about the Pittsburgh Pirates coming to town. We're going to talk about the Padres going on a road trip that'll take them up to San Francisco next week for 4, then to Milwaukee. Then they come home briefly for 3 games, and then they go back out on the road to take on Arizona and the Los Angeles Dodgers. So Padres are entering in to a very interesting part of their schedule, but we'll get into that. And I definitely want to talk about Mike Shildt, his pitching decisions. There seems to be a lot of concern about why Robert Suarez was not used on Wednesday in that loss to the Miami Marlins. And I'll share my thoughts on that. We're going to talk about the Padres starting rotation. We're definitely going to talk about San Diego State letting their baseball coach go today. And I've got some definite thoughts on that, having been a part of college baseball in my former life before I got into radio. I can tell you this. I did the Big West Baseball Championship last week. I did 8 games in 5 days on ESPN Plus with Steve Quiz. And had a great time. I love college baseball. College baseball coaches are great. Big West Conference is a really, really good conference. Really the best Division One conference on the West Coast now that the Pac-12's gone. But we'll get into that. We're going to talk about Miles Byrd coming back. But I'd ask you this, especially if you're a first-time viewer, would you please subscribe to our channel? We're trying to build this thing up and do something special. That would be nice if you would hit like and please tell a friend. Knock on your neighbor's door and say, hey, do you remember the guy that was on radio for 30 plus years in San Diego? And he's doing a podcast now. If you're into sports, you'll really enjoy it. And so we got a lot to get to tonight. I'm very excited. We're going to get to Coach's Crew. That's our live audience out there that sends in questions. And then at the end of the show, we'll get to Coach's Mailbag, some of our questions from last show that we didn't get to. But again, please subscribe and follow us on YouTube, on Facebook, or X. I'd very much appreciate that. Okay, we're going to get into the Padres yesterday. You know, they lucked out, let's face it, on Tuesday night. Okay. They flat out lucked out because the Marlins are not very good. They compete hard, but they're very inexperienced. A lot of young players trying to figure it out at the big league level. Some will, some won't. But the Padres came back on Tuesday night and won that game after they were down 6-0 before they ever came to bat in the bottom of the first inning. And then yesterday, it was role reversal. They had a big lead. They were up 6-1 after 4 innings. Marlins tied it with 5 in the 5th. Marlins took the lead 7-6. Padres scored 2 in the 7th to take an 8-6 lead. And then Miami pushed across 3 runs in the top of the 9th, or the 8th, and ended up hanging on for a 10-8 victory. And there are a lot of different things we can talk about here, but let's start with Kyle Hart. Kyle Hart is trying to figure it out at the big league level. Now, remember, he was in the big leagues a few years back with the Boston Red Sox. Only pitched 11 innings and had 0 success. Then he went to the KBO and won last year the equivalent of the Cy Young. He had an okay spring training, not great, but it was okay. He got a little bit of a late start, and he did okay. So he gets into the starting rotation, and at home he's been good. Yesterday he didn't have a good day at Petco Park. At first bad outing at Petco Park. But his numbers at Petco Park have been far better than they have been on the road. He's got a 6.66 ERA. And you're going to say, well, what do you think about Kyle Hart? Well, yesterday I was pulling for the guy. I was hoping he could at least get one more out in the 5th inning and qualify for the victory because the Padres were leading at that point in time. 4 2/3, 6 hits, 5 runs, all earned, no walks, which was good because he walked a lot of guys down in AAA. and he had one strikeout yesterday. He gave up 2 home runs. And he was leading, though, until David Morgan, making his second appearance in the big leagues, comes in the first batter he faces with 2 outs in the fifth, serves up a 3-run homer to Otto Lopez. So, Kyle Hart wasn't going to qualify for the win, but he didn't get the loss either. But, mixed results on Kyle Hart. I see some promise with him, but he's got to be pretty much letter perfect. He doesn't throw real hard. He's got a good change, got a good breaking ball. And I think a little more experience, he's going to be okay and help this ball club. Okay, but as far as the rotate, I don't know where this rotation is going. When you take a look at the rotation this weekend, you got Pivetta, you got Cease, and you got Randy Vasquez. And I'm fine with all those. All those guys have done a good job. I mean, I wouldn't have thought as we approach June 1st, Dylan Cease would have 1 win so far. I expected much better from him. We really don't know the status of Michael King. Now, we may know more about Michael King on Friday when Mike Shildt meets with the media. We'll have to wait and see on that. And you, Darvish, I have no idea. Your guess is as good as mine. He's on his own program. He threw back on the 14th of May. We thought everything was headed in the right direction. It's supposed to go on the road trip to Toronto. Didn't make that. Didn't make the trip to Atlanta. Back in San Diego, throwing whenever he feels like it. And he's having some problems again. So we can't count on you, Darvish. And they're slow playing it. They're going to be careful. They got to be careful. The guy's going to be 39 years of age this summer. And they still got him for a couple of more years. Not paying him a ton of money, but a fair amount that you're not going to be able to go out and bring in another guy at the trading deadline. I can tell you that right now. And we don't know, again, about Michael King. And hopefully these other guys can stay healthy. And, I was on with Fletch and Sammy today on 760. Great young show. If you haven't tuned into their show, you may want to check it out. They have a lot of fun. They talk about a variety of things. They just don't beat you down with Padre baseball. They talk about everything, which is great. A great all-sports show. And they do their homework, which is a novelty now in sports talk radio. But you may want to tune in 760. They're on from 12 to 2, Monday through Friday. So check them out, okay? And I'm on once a week with them, normally on Thursdays. And we talk, primarily Padres. We'll talk about San Diego FC. We'll talk about something, relevant with the Aztecs. But we were talking about the Padres today. And one of the things that I brought up was yesterday in the day game, Padres, they could have brought in Robert Suarez. But Robert Suarez had pitched a lot in the last week. And I went back and I looked at his log for what he has done. Now, you got to remember, the Padres are planning on being in the postseason in October and go deep into October. And you can't keep running these guys out there. The Dodgers are having all kinds of problems with their starters, their relievers. They got 14 pitchers right now on the IL. They've got $102 million of pitching on the IL right now, the Los Angeles Dodgers. They got Kopech, who's working his way back. They got Blake Treinen, who's working on his way back. Blake Snell, Emmett Sheehan, Tyler Glasnow. And those are just like 5 guys right there. I mean, they've got a whole group of reinforcements waiting to come. And their bullpen has been taxed. And the Padres have been taxed. And it's kind of the theory, everybody asks, well, what do you think about the starting pitching of the Padres? Well, I think when everybody's healthy, we're pretty damn good. But you got to go more than 4 1/3 innings or 4 innings or 3 innings because you're going to kill this bullpen. And we do not have the depth in the minor leagues that the Dodgers have. Dodgers got their minor league team and they got the cavalry where the 14 guys are working on getting off the IL. I mean, it's crazy the number of guys they've got on the IL. And when you start talking about name recognition, they got a bunch of dudes with name recognition. And guys that have won a hell of a lot of games and done a hell of a lot of good things at the big league level. We don't have that depth. That's why everybody has picked the Dodgers to win the division and, maybe win the World Series again. But there's a long ways to go on that. But we've got to conserve our bullpen the best we can. Now, this kid that came up and he gave up the home run yesterday, David Morgan, he got a good arm. He got a real good arm. He made a mistake to Otto Lopez and he put it in the seats. But this guy looks pretty good to me. I don't know what you think. I think he looks pretty good. He went after that. He retired the next three guys. He got out of that inning with a strikeout. And the first two guys he faced before Mike Shildt took him out in the sixth inning, he struck out. He got a power arm, 95 to 99. And so then they get beat yesterday. And yesterday, they used, after Kyle Hart, they used David Morgan, they used Yuki Matsui, they used Jason Adam, who took the loss. His ERA at 1.32. He needs some time off, too. That guy's pitching all the time. And then Wandy Peralta, who's not had a good year. Yesterday, 2 innings, 2 hits, gave up a run, walk, strikeout, but he hadn't had a good year yet. Got to hit his spots with that changeup, and he'll be okay. Get ahead of the hitters and work that changeup. But everybody was all hot and bothered. Where the hell is Robert Suarez? Well, Robert was in the bullpen. He was unavailable. Now, let's go back and take a look at his workload so far. Robert Suarez, so far this year, 24 games. He's 0-1. He's got 17 saves. He's pitched 23 innings, 12 hits, 7 runs, 6 earned runs, 8 walks, 23 strikeouts, and a 2.81 ERA. He's doing a hell of a job. He's projected right now, as of today, when you look at the ESPN projections, he is projected to pitch in 72 games and throw 69 innings. Now, that's not even getting to the postseason. That's just regular season right now. We'll see where it goes. Now, I mentioned the Padres have just a gauntlet of a schedule coming up after this weekend against Pittsburgh. They got a lot of games on the road, ton of games on the road. They got 4 next week. They don't have an off day next week. This is their last off day for a while. They got 4 up against Bob Melvin's San Francisco Giants at Oracle Park. Then they move on and play 3 in Milwaukee. And then they are back home on June 9th to start a 3-game set against the Dodgers, an off day June 12th, and then 3 games over in Arizona. Then they're up in LA for 4 games. We're going to have a much better idea about this Padre ball club by the middle of June, where they're going to be at. And quite frankly, this team's got to play better. They're not getting anything out of left field unless they throw Gavin Sheets out there. They're not getting a whole lot behind the plate. Martin Maldonado's hitting 171. Elias Diaz has come up with a few hits here and there, but he's hitting right around 230. I was hoping he'd hit about 260, 265. Everybody else doing okay. Fernando's in a slump. He's hitting in the low 270s now. He looks like he's totally lost. I don't know what the hell's going on with him. Now, I heard his dad got bit by a dog and had to undergo surgery, and hopefully he's okay. And, you hear different rumors here and there, but I'm not into rumors. But he doesn't look like he's into it mentally right now. I don't know what you're seeing, but I'm not seeing a guy that I saw early in the season. He just looks in a total funk. I mean, this guy was hitting 340, an MVP candidate. He's not an MVP candidate right now. No way. The way he's playing. Manning's doing okay, but he made 10 errors. What did he make last year? He made 7 errors all year, and he made 10 already. Hell, he made 3 in 1 inning last week. Everybody's talking about poor Ronnie Simon, the kid from Miami. He made 3 errors in the first 4 innings. He had a 4th there they took away because he got blocked by the runner and the umpire. And I had no problem with them taking that error away, but he made 3 errors, and the kid, was distraught. And Manny made 3 in 1 inning. He got 10 errors already. Got to clean it up. Bogart's, he's getting a few hits, but he's not doing damage. He got to do damage. Cronenworth's okay. Arise hasn't really hit his stride yet. He hits the ball pretty good, but, anytime he's hitting under 300, he's not playing at his level, and he's not going to give you a lot power-wise. You got no bench, really. So, I mean, they got to figure some things out. AJ's got to go to work. We got to get a real left fielder. Got to get a left fielder, and we got to upgrade the bench. I don't think Jason Hayward's coming back. He got an oblique strain, but they said he's not coming back to July or August. He's not going to play again. He's going to play as much as you and I am. It's that simple. So you got to figure out exactly what's going on with this Padre ball club, because they're not playing great baseball right now. And, I think Mike Shildt's a good manager. Technically, I think he does a good job. But some of his press conferences really irritate me. If your team sucked that night, hey, we had a bad night. We didn't play well. We'll bounce back tomorrow. You're not throwing anybody under the bus. And, it's the old theory. If you don't like what people are saying about you, play better. And Mike Shildt always got, he's always, well, this guy did that, blah, 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 blah. Hey, you know what? If you have a bad day, you have a bad day. Baseball's a tough game. Life is tough. And you're going to have bad days, you bounce back. What are you going to have a bad day and go coward in the quarter over there? Hell no. You're going to come back, get to the ballpark early, get your work in, and be ready to kick ass that night. And that's simple. I don't like excuses. And it's not throwing the team under the bus and say, hey, man, we didn't play well tonight. The ball didn't bounce our way. Those guys over there did a hell of a job. That pitcher, I'm not going to tip my cap every night like the Padres have been doing to some of these guys. But, hey, every once in a while, you got to give the opponent some credit. But, that's what everybody got on Bob Melvin. Bob Melvin was honest. And I appreciate that. Buddy Black's honest. Bruce Bochy's honest. Jay Stingler and Andy Green at that point in time, probably a little bit overwhelmed being major league managers, and they were always going to side on the side of caution when they were talking with the media. And of course, Jay Stingler, the whole time he was here, he was able to hide, and not his fault, but he was able to kind of hide because of COVID. Everything was, basically like I'm talking to you right now. So, but anyways, I want to get to Suarez because everybody's all hot and bothered. This guy can't pitch every friggin' game, folks. And you know what? Maybe he's a little sore. Now, here's the deal. Last week, he pitched on Thursday in Toronto. 1 inning, 2 hits, a run. It was unearned, a strikeout through 16 pitches. Friday in Atlanta, 1 inning, 2 hits, 19 pitches. Didn't pitch Saturday, pitched Sunday, 1 inning, 9 pitches against the Bravos. And then Monday night, he pitched 1 inning, 1 hit, 1 strikeout, 12 pitches. Last 4 innings, only got 2 strikeouts. That bothers me a little bit because he's a power guy. Maybe he needed time. Maybe his shoulder's sore. Maybe his elbow's sore. Hopefully not. But I'm going to tell you what. I think more than anything else, well, let's say that he's not sore and he could have pitched maybe. I think they just wanted to rest him because they've got a gauntlet coming up. And there were times when Trevor was here where Trevor was unavailable. Maybe he'd pitched, 2 out of 3 days or 3 out of 4 days, or Scott Linebringer, Mike Adams, some of the great relievers, Heath Bell that we've had here. Every once in a while, they need a day. And with the off day, Mike Shildt's going, you know what? We got a chance now to give Robert some time off. He didn't have to pitch Tuesday, Wednesday, off day Thursday. We got the Pirates coming to town. Maybe we can boat race them 2 out of 3, maybe give them an inning in one of those games and then have them ready to roll against the San Francisco Giants next week. So I'm not all hot and bothered. Was I disappointed? Yeah. But you got to understand, we don't know everything. Unless you've talked to the manager like I used to with Boch and with Buddy, they would tell me before the game. I wouldn't go around and broadcast it in the press box or go tell the other team, hey, so-and-so ain't available tonight. I wouldn't do that. I kept that, close to my heart here. Padre guy, man. And so if somebody called the talk show when I was doing the postgame show, hey, why didn't Bochy do this or that, or Buddy do this or that? I knew why. I'd say, hey, the guy had pitched X amount of days, needed a day off, or his shoulder was a little cranky. They felt they had to give him a day. So let's don't panic. Let's don't panic. We got a long ways to go. The Padres are hanging in there. They got to start playing better. And Fernando's got to pick it up. And you all know, I've talked about this at length. Fernando's my favorite guy. I love watching him play, but I haven't enjoyed watching him play the last week. He's moping around. Everything looks like it's drudgery for him right now. He got to pick it up. He's better than that. And I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what's going on other than his dad had some issues down in the Dominican when a dog attacked him. And he had to have surgery. And hopefully, we pray that he's going to be fine. Because I know how close Fernando is with his family. So that's my take on Mike Shildt. Mike Shildt bugs me sometimes. Absolutely he does. I think he bugs a lot of people. Very predictable, and when he's going to take a pitcher out, it's usually after damage is done, more so. Ruben Niebla must lead the league in friggin' mound visits. I mean, it's unbelievable how many times he has to go to the mound, and then Shildt will be shortly behind after that. But yesterday, I have no problem with Mike Shildt saving Robert Suarez because you know what? You might sacrifice the game, but down the road, it might save you a few wins because you gave him that time off. Once you get a sore arm during the season, very hard to get rid of it. It really is. Okay, I'm going to give you a little rundown on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Aside from having great unis, I love the Pirates unis. I was a big Dave Parker, Willie Stargell fan, Manny Sanguine, and I go on and on. When they would come to San Diego when I was a kid, I always got to the ballpark super early to watch those guys take batting practice. Al Oliver and then Bill Madlock. I mean, I could go on and on about the Buccos. Yeah, big Stargell fan. When I was in seventh grade, I was a weird little kid. I used to carry Willie Stargell's baseball card around with me like it was my identification. Love that guy. And the Cobra, big fan. So excited about him going into the Hall of Fame. It's long overdue. But the Pirates limp into town, actually playing pretty well. They're in fifth place right now. They're 21 and 36. They took 2 out of 3 over in Arizona against the Diamondbacks. They got shut out in game one, 5-0, and then they came back and beat the D-backs 9-6, and then yesterday pounded them 10-1. They're 8-20 on the road this year. You got O'Neill Cruz, who went from shortstop to center field, hitting 230. Hits them long, but he hit a ball the other day, the hardest hit ball in the StatCast era, apparently. He hit it over 122 miles an hour. He's 6'7", 12 homers, but his average at only at 230. Brian Reynolds, who the Padres talked about trading for a few different times over the last 4 or 5 years, hitting 202 with 7 homers. His game has drastically declined. And then, you take a look at the pitching matchups over the weekend. Friday night, you got right-hander Mitch Keller 1-6 and a 3.66 ERA. That game will start at 6:40. Going against right-hander Nick Pivetta 5-2 and a 2.72. Saturday night, you've got left-hander Bailey Falter 3-3 and a 3.47. Padres go right-hander Dylan Cease 1-3 and a 4.58 ERA. By the way, Saturday night, Kelly and I will be at the game. We're going to be on the third rail of the Western Metal Supply Company, going there for a birthday party. Got invited by Gary Mahalko and his wife, Gemma's birthday. So we'll look forward to being out there for that. So if you're looking for me on Saturday night at the ballpark, I will be up on the third deck right there out on the rail. Got a great view and looking forward to that. We've done that the last 4 years for Gemma's birthday. And again, one reminder on Saturday night, game's at 6:40. It's not the traditional 5:40. It's at 6:40 on Saturday night. And then Sunday afternoon, it'll be left-handed Andrew Heaney. And there are a lot of rumors that he could be moving to the New York Yankees here before too long. 3-1 with a 3.41 ERA. And the Padres will counter with right-hander Randy Vasquez, 3-4 and a 3.58. And reminder on that game will be at 2:10. 2:10 on Sunday at Petco Park. So Friday night, you've got Keller going against Pivetta, Falter and Cease going on Saturday, and Heaney and Vasquez on Sunday afternoon. One interesting thing about the Pirate pitchers, all of them have really good ERAs. I mean, they got a bad ball club at 21 and 36, but Keller, 3.66, Falter, Southern California guy, 3.47, and Andrew Heaney, 3.41. So they do have some pitching, but rather thin offensively. Okay, we're going to get out to a coach's crew. I'm sure there's some questions out there. We're going to get into San Diego State firing their baseball coach here before long. We're going to talk about Miles Byrd, and we want to get out to your questions. What does the Aztec starting lineup look like? Guath, Byrd, Waters, Newman, B.J. Davis. I think that's a very good start. I'm excited about Aztec basketball. I think they're going to be really, really good. And we'll talk more about that. I'm hoping Guath can come back. He had surgery, and I think he's going to miss a lot of time this summer. And Reese Waters, who I was a big fan of when he transferred down from SC. Remember his last year at USC, he was the Pac-12 sixth man of the year, and he came in that 1 year at San Diego State, was playing pretty well, and all of a sudden kind of got gun-shy shooting the basketball. I would think this coming year, he'd be much more aggressive his final year of college basketball. He's going to make some money in the pros. I don't think he's an NBA guy, but I certainly think Reese is going to be able to play overseas and make a nice chunk of change down the road. Tony Jimenez, PhD. I like those smart guys on my show. Coach, great to see you. As a kid, I used to listen to your late night high school football show. Appreciate listening to your Padres insight now that I live in Dodger country. Tony, thank you very much. And, we had a hell of a run with that high school show. 25 years I did that. And, I couldn't have made it 25 years without the support of my family because I was gone every Friday night forever. And I couldn't have made it without a lot of really good people that helped me. I ran into a young man last week, probably in his 30s now, a young man by the name of Owen Main. He's working up at Cal Poly as a photographer when I was doing the Big West Championship. And he came up, hey, coach, hey, do you remember me? My name's Owen Main. I go, yeah, Owen used to do high school football games for me. There are so many young people, male and female, that started out on my high school show making no money. I wasn't making a lot the first 5 years I did it. I did it for free the first 5 years. People don't know that. But there are so many people that started out, they drive in the rain, the fog, and go out and cover high school football for me on Friday nights. And a lot of them have gone on to do some really special things in the media. People working for the NFL Network. A lot of people over the years have worked for the NFL Network. A lot of them have become PR people for ball clubs and colleges. And, I'm glad I was able to, give them a chance and give them a start in this business. And I'm very humbled by how many of them have gone on and done some incredible things. And, that high school show, man, that's what really put me on the map, quite frankly. That went from the Saturday morning in 1990 to 91 on Friday nights, a total of 25 years. But in 96, I got my first full-time talk show, and the rest is history. Started doing Aztec stuff, started doing Charger stuff. And then later on, when I was at 1090, we did the Padres. I did the Padre pre and post game show for 13 years. And, USD basketball, I've done it all. I've done all the schools in San Diego and had a great time, doing football for the Aztecs, basketball, and then a little football for USD, a couple of years of basketball, now doing stuff for UC San Diego. But Tony, it was a lot of fun doing the high school show, and hopefully you're able to survive up there in Dodger country. I got a lot of respect for the Dodgers because I got a lot of respect for Dave Roberts, and they want to win, and you can't fault an organization if they've got the resource, man. You're going to do everything possible to try to win, but hopefully our little gutty Padres down here, we can take them down one of these years. Tyler Mall, which part of this team needs to improve right now at this point of the season? Offense, defense, or pitching? The thing about the hitting, that is going to come and go. You're going to have stretches where it becomes contagious. You're just moving the line, everybody's hitting. I'm more concerned day to day with the pitching, because if the starting pitching breaks down, it's going to put a lot more pressure on the bullpen. And I think the bullpen has already had enough of pressure placed on them the first couple of months of the season. And you just can't keep going to the well. And again, like I come back to, it's not like we got a bunch of dudes down in AAA chomping at the bit to get up here. They're chomping at the bit, but the organization's not chomping at the bit to bring them up, because a lot of those guys just can't pitch at the big league level. Chris Four, Eight Laces Consulting, agree, Coach. Tatis just doesn't look like his heart is in it. Something is up. I agree. I could tell when they were going on that road trip, the whole ball club looked like something was really bothering that ball club, and I don't know what it was. But Fernandez just doesn't look right to me. And again, I found out last night that his dad had an accident down there with a dog that bit him, and he had surgery, and hopefully that went well. I don't know. We get very, very little about what's going on unless somebody down in the Dominican's willing to, get it to ESPN. But Fernando just doesn't look right to me right now. So hopefully he's able to bounce back, because, 3 weeks ago he was an MVP candidate. Right now, probably not even an all-star, which is kind of shocking to me. Sam Sanford, good evening from St. George, Utah. All right, up there by Cedar City. Coach, I think Camposano should be given one more chance with consistent at-bats. Worth a shot, seeing as how the catcher position is an automatic out at the ditch right now. Sam, here's the deal. They don't trust him. They don't trust him behind the plate. And, being a DH, is very difficult for anybody unless you get into a rhythm. And I know he's DH'd a little bit down in AAA, but I agree. If you gave him an opportunity to catch, I think he'd be in the flow of the game. Mentally, he'd be in the flow of the game. By not allowing him to catch, it tells me that they have no confidence in him. And I don't know if it's the pitching staff, the pitching coach, the manager, I don't know. But he hadn't got a hit. He doesn't have a hit. And I don't know how many more opportunities he's going to get. But, with the way Diaz, who's hitting a lot better than Maldonado, he's hitting about 60 points higher than Maldonado right now. Give him a start. What do you got to lose? Give him a start. Maybe, get the flow of the game. But right now, he's walked a bunch of times, but he doesn't have a hit. I don't think he has. He may have one hit, but I may have missed it when I was doing the Big West Championship last week. But you know what? I just don't think they trust him behind the plate. Bradley, Rodriguez, and Tyson Neighbors look ready in the minors. Can they help our pen? They got big arms. I know that. I'll have to take a look. I'll take a look at their numbers over the weekend, and we'll talk about that on Monday a little bit. Bradley Rodriguez, who I saw a little bit in spring training. I didn't see Tyson Neighbors. Bradley Rodriguez, I saw. He got possibilities. I would say that. I definitely think he has possibilities. But I'll check into that. I'll definitely check into that. David Dillamuth, 9-8 in the 17-game stretch against possible playoff teams would be good. Anytime you're playing good ball clubs, you want to win more than you lose. I remember Bruce Bochy telling me one time, if you take a look at the schedule and you win 6 out of 11 games, okay, you go 6-5 all year long, at the end of the year, you're going to be in pretty good shape. And, we want this gaudy record. We want to be, 100 wins and 62 losses or 102 and 60. Padres have never won more than 98. And that was in 1998 when they won 98 and they went to the World Series. But you win 6 out of 11 games at the end of the year, you're going to be well over 500. And you're more than likely, especially nowadays, with the way they've got the expanded playoff, you're going to be in the playoffs. So that's how you have to look at it. But man, every night we live and die with our Padres. What'd the Dodgers do? What did the Giants do? What did the Diamondbacks do? I haven't worried about the Rockies for about a decade. Man, what a mess that is. Holy Toledo. That is a real mess. They may need to bring me in there to sort that out. We'll sort that thing out, and we'll have to talk with Dick Monfort, see if he wants to spend a little bit of money, though. There's not a ball club I don't think I could help be better. I got to be honest with you. I love baseball. I've been around a lot of good people. And I have a lot of people reach out and ask me my opinion on. So I'd love to run a ball club. I just don't think I could be a general manager now. I'd probably kill myself because I'm so into it. And I'd be working morning, noon, and night. Jolene Prather, thank you. Thanks all you do. My kiddo Austin never misses your show. Hugs. Hey, Austin's a great kid. He's a diehard Padre fan. He stays in constant contact with me. He's a marvelous young man. And you and your family are fantastic. And we all, one of these days, I'll see Austin again. I haven't seen him in a while, but he's a great kid. And man, you talk about a guy that loves the Padres. Holy Toledo. This guy lives and breathes Padre baseball. Retod, I was yelling at the TV. They left Wandy in after walking the 9th spot hitter to load him up. At that point in time, they kind of rolled the dice there, didn't they? And that was all she wrote for the Padres. But again, probably needed to give some guys some time off. John 619, good to hear the commentary from the coach. I appreciate that. You know what? I got to tell you something. I've got a different life now than I had for over 30 years. I've never had more free time in my life. Everything's going well. I, do UC San Diego basketball. UC San Diego basketball. They had a great year. I do the Strike Force. I got to do the Big West Championships. I get to be on with Fletch and Sammy once a week. Do the podcast. I mean, I'm living the life right now. I'm living the life, and I get to go watch all my grandkids play their sports and different activities, and life is good. Very good. Steve Hafferkamp, great stuff, Coach. Watching from Florida. Steve, Good to hear from you, buddy. I look forward to getting you back here. And we got our big holiday happy hour coming up the first Friday in December. And all of you folks, I want you to write it down. The first Friday in December, if you got your calendar close, or write it on a piece of paper and put it on the calendar. I want you all to come to the Leucadian, the north end of Leucadia, the first Friday in December. Jay Parrish, yours truly, Bernie Wilson, Steve Hafferkamp. You never know who shows up. Buddy Black normally shows up. Last year, Rick Sutcliffe showed up. We had a tribute to Barry Axelrod, the great baseball agent, this year. Unfortunately, we're going to have a tribute for our fallen colleague, Bryce Miller, who passed away here a few months ago. Bryce was an annual visitor to the holiday happy hour, and we'll toast Bryce Miller at this year's get together. But Dave Roberts came a year ago. He drove right from Dodger Stadium after meeting with Ohtani. It was before they signed Ohtani, but they met with him at Dodger Stadium on that Friday, and Dave didn't even go home. He drove right to the Leucadian. John Carney, a lot of ex-Chargers show up. So you're all invited. You're all invited the first Friday in December, the Leucadian. My dad owned the bar for 50 years. We don't own the bar any longer. We do own the land. And the guys that are running the Leucadia, it's become a hot spot in Leucadia. So if you can make it, please. And make sure when you come in, you look me up, come up and say hello, and we'll have some great conversation. AJ Preller was there last year. The year before, Josh Stein, the assistant general manager of the Padres. You never know who's going to show up. Kevin Towers' wife showed up last year with Barry Axelrod's wife. I mean, it was unbelievable. And Rick Sutcliffe did a great speech talking about Barry Axelrod, who was just a marvelous man and who came to our party every year. John Boggs, the baseball agent, was there last year. You just never know. Okay, let's get to some live, a few more live questions if we have them. If not, we're going to get to the standings a little bit. All right, another one. Awesome, Mike, about the bobblehead. I tried to get another one, but couldn't. You know what? I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. And hopefully I'll be able to get one of those down the road. Love the 7 p.m. show on off days. Make it a thing. You know what? We may have to do that. We may do that, and then we won't do a Friday show. But we'll wait and see. But Padres, they don't have an off day for a while. But next time they have a Thursday off day, we'll try to do that. If not, we'll do it Friday morning. But I kind of like it as well. Okay, let's get to the standings. Let's take a look at the standings. All the teams in the National League West were off today. Okay, so we'll take a look at Philadelphia. They split a doubleheader today with the Atlanta Braves. They're playing really well right now. The New York Mets are hanging in there. Our buddy Juan Soto not having a great year right now. The Braves are trying to get back to the 500 mark. You got Washington, the Miami Marlins bringing up the rear. You know, I got to say something about the Marlins. They got some good young players. Now, Sandy Alcantara, who won a Cy Young a few years ago and is coming back from Tommy John surgery, he's not there. But when you have Tommy John surgery, folks, the last thing that comes is the command. And I guarantee you by July or August, his numbers are awful right now. And if somebody trades for him, people are going, God, what the hell are they doing trading for Alcantara? And he's not very good anymore. I think he'll come back. His arm looks lively. He's just having a hard time hitting his spots. A lot of rust there. But that's the last thing that comes when a guy is coming back from Tommy John. So don't give up on him. But they got some nice young players. Cubbies, they're scoring a ton of runs right now. Cardinals are hanging in there. The Brewers are hanging in there. Padres will see them at the end of next week. The Reds and Pirates, I just don't think the Reds have enough. I know everybody talks about Ellie De La Cruz. He's hitting about 250. He'll hit some home runs, but he's very erratic at shortstop. He'll make the fantastic play, and then he'll throw the routine play away. He got to clean up his act a little bit defensively, and he could be. I mean, he got unbelievable ability, Ellie De La Cruz, but he's not there yet. But you know, he looks great on the MLB Network with all these great highlights, but day in and day out, not very consistent. Dodgers, they're coming back home. They're sitting in pretty good shape right now, considering they've had all kinds of pitching problems. 12 games over, 2-game lead over our Padres, 3 over the Giants, 7 over the Diamondbacks. And Colorado sitting back there, 9 wins. Can you believe it? 9-47? That's almost impossible to do. You may be able to get a team out of the Pacific Coast League that could have had a better record than 9-47 against big leaguers. I'm serious. That's unbelievable. But anyways, there you have it. Okay. I want to get to Sean Cole being fired today at San Diego State. And having been a guy that grew up in San Diego, coached high school baseball, went into junior college baseball, then to 4-year baseball, and back to high school baseball when I got into the radio business when I came back from coaching at Texas Tech. I was a recruiting coordinator at Texas Tech. I got the job. I just want to tell you why I'm kind of furious about what has happened with San Diego State baseball. And it's not about Sean Cole. This is not about Sean Cole. His record was dismal, though. And I'll get into that. But really, the school's got to make a decision if they really want to have a good baseball program. Because the school hasn't done anything to help this ball club or coaches for a long period of time. I'll give you Sean Cole's record. And they had to make a change. There's no doubt. But I don't think he got a lot of help out there. But first of all, J.D. Wicker, the athletic director, you go back to football. When Rocky Long left, and I don't really know the real story why Rocky Long left. I'm not convinced he wanted to retire. Hell, he's still coaching. And went on and coached right after that as an assistant. He's bounced around and doing some consulting. And, Rocky loves football. But people didn't really like his style of football, but they were winning. They were winning a hell of a lot more than they're winning now under Brady Hoke and now on Sean Lewis. Sean Lewis 3-9 last year. They got to show significant improvement this year. But J.D. Wicker hired Brady Hoke. That was the easy hire. I mean, Brady Hoke walked out on the program to go to Michigan, and then they brought him back, and he basically retired on the job. Okay, and then Sean Lewis got it, and there was nothing. Brady Hoke's guys didn't do a very good job of recruiting, so Coach Lewis had to start from scratch, and then you're dealing with the transfer portal and all that. But with baseball, 2 years ago, when Mark Martinez surprisingly retired, which still not sure what happened there. I think there's more to that story. He'd won the conference title, and they haven't won a lot of conference titles out there. Now, I'm going to get into that in a minute, too. But they gave it to Sean Cole, who was the pitching coach. And he went a year ago in 2024, 17-37, 10-20 in the Mountain West Conference. And quite frankly, for my opinion, I don't think the Mountain West Conference is a very good Division I baseball conference. They get one team a year in. Okay, they get one team a year in. This year, they won 20 games, but they lost 39, and they were 14-16 in the Mountain West Conference. They qualified as the 5th team to go to the conference tournament with a losing record. Don't get me started on going to conference tournaments with a losing record, or teams being in the high school playoffs when they're 15 games under 500. I just don't, we're giving out trophies for everybody now. But his total record in that point of time was not very good. I mean, it was dismal. He ended up 37-76 and 24-36 in Mountain West Conference play. Am I surprised he got fired? No, not really. I was surprised he got hired 2 years ago. I think San Diego State, a lot of people around college baseball would like to have this job. And I'm talking about coaches that are established in other programs. I have no idea what it costs to run a baseball program. I have no idea what San Diego State is willing to throw in to the hopper to make it a better baseball program. I have no idea what they pay their head coaches, their assistants. But whatever they do this time, they gotta do it the right way. And I saw in Kirk Kenny, who's been around Aztec baseball for a long time. He was there as a student, been covering him for many years. He talked about some names. Rich Hill, who I spent a lot of time with last week, the former USD coach, who's doing a hell of a job over at Hawaii. He was at USD for 23 years, recruited some incredible players. A lot of guys playing in the big leagues right now. And he's doing a really nice job in 4 years over in Hawaii, doing a great job. And they like him over there. Rich Hill still has a house in San Diego. I don't know if he'd want to come back. He started his college career at San Diego State as a player. And then, the guys that were on the team at that time, Rich didn't feel he could beat him out. He ended up transferring, having a very nice career up at Cal Lutheran, and then got a year of pro ball, I think, with the Cardinals, then came back and started coaching. And he's approaching 1,200 career wins. He's in his I would imagine, early 60s now, and got the enthusiasm of a 25-year-old. If he wanted to come back, I think they'd need to talk to him. They talked about Brock Ungrick, who took over the job at USD for Rich Shildt. They finished under 500, but they won the regular season West Coast Conference this year, got beat in the final game of the West Coast Conference tournament. They've gone back to the NCAA. Brock's had a really good run his early 4 years over there at USD. He'd be crazy to take the San Diego State job with what he's got established, that ballpark, and the support he gets over there at USD. And he's a San Diego State alum, went to Mission Bay High School, played for Dennis Pugh, and once upon a time would have probably liked that San Diego State job. He can't take that job now. They talked about Gary Henderson, who played at San Diego State, head coach at Utah. He's a little bit older. I don't know if he'd want to make that trek to San Diego, even though he was an Aztec for life once upon a time. They talked about Rusty Felder, who was an assistant coach, who's now the head coach at Santa Clara, was a pitching coach when Strasburg was here. San Diego guy, another guy that played at Mission Bay for Dennis Pugh. He's had mixed results up at Santa Clara. Didn't have a good year this year, but has had some good years. But I want to go back and tell you a little more about San Diego State baseball and the way I see it. And really, I think this comes down to be in a J.D. Wicker and a San Diego State problem more than the baseball coaches. Let's start here with Jim Dietz. Jim Dietz coached at San Diego State from 1972 to 2002. 1,231 victories, 750 losses, and 18 ties. Jim Dietz was an amazing man. Not everybody agreed with him. I didn't agree with him from time to time. Early in my coaching career, him and I probably were not on the same page, but we developed, I think, a very, very good relationship with one another in later years. And he was always happy to see me. I was always happy to see him. But we butted heads early in my coaching career over some things. But you can't deny the success he had. He had incredible success, Jim Dietz. Incredible success. In fact, Aztecs have gone to 14 regionals. They've never won a regional championship. Can you believe that? Their record in 14 regionals is 12-28. Last time they got to a regional was 2018, and they went 0-2. They went 0-2 in barbecue. But they have never, San Diego State, they have never won a regional. They're 0-14. That's hard to believe. When you go back, and Coach Dietz had better players than Tony ever had, or Mark Martinez ever had, or Sean Cole ever had. I mean, when you go back and look at the late 70s into the early 80s, the amount of talent at San Diego State was unbelievable, but it was unbelievable at a lot of schools back then on the West Coast. I mean, Fresno State was always tough, Long Beach State, Loyola Marymount, Fullerton won national titles. I mean, you could go up and down the coast, let alone USC, UCLA. I mean, some of the greatest players in the history of Aztec baseball were in the late 70s and 80s. I mean, I can see some of those guys right now. They were just incredible ball players. But San Diego State doesn't get those kind of guys anymore. They just don't. Tony took over for Coach Dietz. Tony had a little success, but not great success. You know what Tony's record was at San Diego State? Career? 363 and 363. He won one Mountain West Conference Coach of the Year award, but he had a 500 record at San Diego State. And I think a lot of people would find that to be pretty shocking. Mark Martinez took over. He was an assistant for Tony. Mark had a pretty good run. I wouldn't say a great run, but a good run. 9 seasons at SDSU, 257 and 217, 40 games over 500, 134, 109 in the Mountain West Conference, 3 Mountain West Conference tournament titles. 2015, 2017, 2018, 1 regular season title. That's the thing that amazed me. because the Mountain West Conference, I don't think is a great conference. Every once in a while, New Mexico will be good, or UNLV will be pretty good. TCU was in the conference briefly. But you take a look at it, Mountain West regular season championships. They've won 3. 2002, Jim Dietz's last year. 2004, they won 1, and they won 1 in 2023, and then they won 6 Mountain West Conference tournament championships overall. Okay, now here's the deal. They went the easy way when Mark Martinez retired. They give the job to Sean Cole. And I don't know Sean Cole from Natalie Cole. All right? But I'm going to tell you this, I'm not sure he got a whole lot of help. And I'm going to start with the ballpark. Having been a college coach, kids like to have nice things. I always wanted my teams to have great uniforms. I wanted them to look sharp, dress the right way. I wanted to try to have the best facilities possible, good hitting cages. Wanted to make sure the ballpark was painted up nice. And by the way, anybody at San Diego State, paint does a lot. They could use a few coats of paint out there at the ballpark. I don't know what they have done other than minor maintenance since John Moore's invested in Tony Gwynn Stadium. But they need to redo that. I mean, I look across town at USD and Fowler Park, UCSD. Their baseball program is better than San Diego State right now. They finished a game over 500, but they've been good. I mean, they won the Big West 2 years ago when they weren't even eligible for the NCAA tournament. I mean, Eric Newman, the coach over at UC San Diego, hell of a coach, done a hell of a job getting some good local guys too. And USD doing a good job. San Diego State right now, without a doubt, is the third. It's not even close. They're the third Division I baseball program in San Diego. That shouldn't be that way. They've got to upgrade their facilities. They got to build them a new clubhouse. They need state-of-the-art stuff out there. And please, get some paint and paint the ballpark up and spruce it up. Make it inviting to come out and watch a baseball game. And then whoever you hire, don't go the easy way. Don't hire some guy that, was an assistant somewhere and had okay success. Get somebody out there and invest. Give a good coach some money and get him to leave his program. Get a proven head coach. Look what SC did. And I know they're SC, but they got Andy Stankiewicz, who did a great job of building the Grand Canyon program. Find out where the guys are and invest in your baseball program if you care. If not, drop it. I mean, I'm looking at Stacy Newman, the softball coach out there. She's a hell of a coach. But look at the recruits she brings in every year. You got to work at it. You got to work at it morning, noon, and night. I was a recruiting coordinator. When I took the job at Texas Tech University, they were coming off a losing season. They had the worst year. You can look it up. Look it up. In 1985, they had their worst season they had ever had in the baseball history of Texas Tech. A lot of things went wrong. A lot of things. They lost 5 players at least to grades. Guys flunked out of school. They were awful. I got hired. And I'll tell you this. We didn't finish real well in the Southwest Conference. We couldn't beat Texas. We couldn't beat A&M, and we couldn't beat Arkansas. We were good against Rice, Baylor, Houston we got. Those are big powerhouses. You think about it. Back in those days, when I coached in 1986 at Texas Tech, that was the best conference in America. We're coaching against Norm DeBryan at Arkansas. We're coaching against Coach Gustafson at Texas, Greg Swindell, all those dudes at Texas. I mean, they were big-time baseball down there, and they invested a lot of money. Hell, I'd give a guy a full scholarship and then turn it down for a book scholarship of $250 to go to Texas and sit in the bullpen for 2 years and then pitch their junior year and be a first or second round draft pick. And Texas had all kinds of money. A&M had all kinds of money. Mark Johnson taking over for Tom Chandler. But we set the school record. The only year I was at Tech, we set the school record for wins. We won 34 games. We went 34 and 26. And the year before I got there, they set the school record for losses. And I brought Dave Geck, who's an administrator at a school in San Diego now, shortstop for Mesa College. Got him away from Arizona. He was going to go with Coach Kendall, who, God rest his soul, is an incredible man. And got David. I got Bill Shutt, who pitched for me down at Southwestern. We won the conference title in '85, got drafted by Milwaukee. He went with me to Texas Tech. I got a catcher from Grand Canyon who told me when he was playing for me in summer in Red Oak, Iowa, I don't want to go back to Grand Canyon. I go, well, you call Coach Stafford over there and tell him you're transferring. Mark Booth ended up being a left-hand hitting catcher that went with me. We had a center fielder that eventually played in the big leagues, Mike Humphreys. We had good players, but we turned the program around. But the head coach got fired because he didn't get along with the athletic director. I got rehired, but then I decided to come back, and I accidentally got into the radio business. But I know what it's like to recruit against the big boys. And San Diego State has not recruited for years. They haven't gone out and recruited. One guy that recruits his tail off, and I think there's three of them actually. His name is John Savage, the head baseball coach at UCLA. I don't know Coach Savage, but I know when I go to the area code games, or you go to the Boris Classic, or you go to a big name game in LA or Orange County, John Savage is always there. Not the assistants, the head coach. He must have a great family that allows him that freedom. But if you want to be a college baseball coach, it's recruit, recruit, recruit. If you're going to have a summer vacation, that means you're going to summer league baseball. That's your vacation. You don't have time off as a college baseball coach. You got to recruit all the time. You run your summer camps. You are out there recruiting. You got to have a good staff that's willing to bite the bullet and live and breathe baseball. San Diego State hasn't had that. But the biggest thing at San Diego State, they got to make a decision. Do they really want to have a baseball program? Because they're not doing the things a university right now they have to do to help the baseball coaches. They didn't help Jim Dietz. They helped Tony because he was Tony Gwynn, but Tony used to gnash his teeth about the lack of support he would get. Mark Martinez, I'm sure, had to fight City Hall. And I'm sure Sean Cole, who didn't really have much of a resume at San Diego State until he came to be the pitching coach. He'd coached and had some success. But you got to have an athletic director, and whoever's in charge of your sport, and it isn't always the athletic director. They have assistant athletic directors, but they're only at the mercy of the university. Whoever they're going to go get, they got to go get a proven commodity. They can't roll the dice on some assistant somewhere. And, you can say, well, go get a guy from the SEC. And I've heard that today because I've had a ton of phone calls. Why would you go get a guy from the SEC who's making probably more than any head coach in the Mountain West Conference? He's going to come out here and he's going to say, what the hell did I get myself into? I mean, down in the SEC, man, that's big-time baseball. You lose a game down there, they want to run you out of town on a rail. It's a different animal down there. And not only that, you can't bring guys across country that have no recruiting ties. You got to go up and down the coast. I mean, you got to know the coaches in San Diego. You got to live in Orange County because that's where the talent is. You got to steal some guys out of the LA area, and you got to be able to recruit the junior college that a lot of schools forget about. Last week when I was doing the Big West Championship, Cal Poly ended up winning it. They got an automatic berth. The two leadoff guys, the top two hitters in the Cal Poly lineup, they're from San Diego. Zach Daudet, who actually went to Regis University. Was a D2 program or D3 program in Colorado. Cal Poly's their leadoff hitter. He ended up making the all-tournament team last week. Ryan Finn out of Granite Hills. James Davis, by the way, the head coach at Granite Hills, San Diego State alum. He got all these guys. All his guys are going somewhere else. Brandon Lewis, who was the player of the year last year in San Diego, probably going to be the player of the year again this year, going to Arizona State. I don't know if San Diego State talked to these guys, but, where are you going to go? Arizona State or San Diego State? I'm going to Arizona State. They got a history of supporting baseball over there. So, I mean, but Ryan Finn, the kid that hit behind Daudet in the lineup from Granite Hills, not only made the all-tournament team, he was the MVP of the tournament in the Big West Championship. And I can tell you this, the Big West is a hell of a lot better than the Mountain West Conference, in my opinion. I mean, Santa Barbara, Long Beach State, who didn't have a great year, Cal Poly, Irvine. Irvine was ranked 20th in the country last week. So whoever they hire has got to have some kind of resume and got to have the ability to recruit their ass off. And they need to be able to bring assistants and pay them to where they can live in San Diego and they can recruit their ass off. Coaches don't need to be at practice every day. The head coach and maybe one of the assistants, the other guys ought to be out recruiting their tail off. They should be wearing their Aztec hat, their jacket everywhere they go. And again, Sean Cole got fired. He had a terrible record. It wasn't showing any improvement, but I don't think he got a whole lot of help. That's what I say. What do you say? Anybody got an opinion on that? I'd like to hear from you. Okay, I want to get real quickly to Miles Byrd. And by the way, if you can't get in tonight, that's okay. Leave the comments. You know, I don't know why I get so hot and bothered about San Diego State baseball. I didn't go to San Diego State. I didn't go to USD. I didn't go to UC San Diego. But I want to see all the teams. I don't care if it's the golf team, the swimming. I want everybody to win in San Diego. I'm a San Diego guy. I want to read about programs that are doing a hell of a job. In baseball, I mean, I know a lot of guys, a lot of my friends are guys that played baseball at San Diego State, and they keep pulling their hair out. I mean, I had people tell me today, well, maybe Buddy Black could take the job. Why the hell would Buddy Black want to take the San Diego State baseball job? He's going to be, what, 69 years of age? Do you think he wants to get in the world of NIL and have to go out and recruit? Hell, he can sit back, play golf, get a job as a special assistant to a general manager and help an organization win. So, you know, you got to get away from just thinking about bringing in former Aztecs. You got to go out and find guys that know and understand college baseball and the landscape of college baseball. I'm tired of San Diego State taking the easy way out. Okay, I want to see him have success. But this is on the athletic director. He got to figure this out. They're going to go make a national search. Hopefully that national search goes more than just out of the San Diego County area code. Miles Byrd coming back to San Diego State. Great get. Miles Byrd, I think is a really, really talented player, but he got a lot to work on. He's not a good shooter at all. Shot 38% from, overall. That's not good. I mean, you got to shoot at least 45% from the field. And as far as the three-point shooter, not good. 30%. He's one of these guys, he's an elevator. He's up and he's down. He has these incredible games and then he disappears. I mean, he disappeared in the NCAA tournament game against North Carolina. He ended up with 4 points, a rebound, and assist, 1 for 5 shooting in that ball game. That was a miserable game. Didn't have a good game in that last game in the Mountain West Conference tournament against Boise State. I think he was 1 for 6 shooting. 38.1 field goal shooter last year, 30.1 on 3, and 83.2 on free throws. That's good. I think he needs to rework his shot. That push shot's not going to make it at the NBA level. The other thing that I thought was really interesting, they measured him at 6'4" and 3/4 in his bare feet. San Diego State lists him at 6'7". Now, he got a long reach. I understand that. But that's a big difference. 6'4" and 3/4 opposed to 6'7". So, whatever. But they're getting him back. He's a hell of a player. Second team All Mountain West Conference, was on the all defensive team. He's a hell of a player. And I'm glad he's coming back, but he got to work on his game. And they said, well, he'd have probably been a high second round pick. That's what they say in the paper. I'm not buying it. I think he's a good player. I think he made the right decision by coming back. And I also think he made the right decision by going out there and testing the waters, because the experience he got going against really great players is only going to behoove him. You got to play against better players than yourself. You want to go out and test yourself. And I think he did the right thing on both accounts, jumping in the NBA waters, pulling out, coming back, and he'll be a better player for it. But he got to go back and rework that shot a little bit for me. Now, he could get by with it in college and be a star. He averaged about 12 points a game last year, and all that's great. But if you want to be the best you can be, you're going to have to rework that shot, in my opinion. So, anyways, okay, I think we have a few questions from our last program. We'll get to a couple of those, and we'll get out of here. Strana Manny, what catchers would you like to see picked up? I really don't know. I really don't know. I haven't looked at the free agent market from the standpoint where you could kind of rent a vet down the stretch. I'll do that. I'll see what could be available. I have no problem with our 2 catchers receiving. They're pretty good. I think they're pretty good. But, man, we need a little more offense. And I don't know right now who's available. I think everybody wants a catcher that can hit, and it's just, so hard to find right now. Chris 16, who would you like to see the Padres go after at the trade deadline? Well, I'd like to see him before the trade. I'd like to see him get a left fielder by tomorrow night at like 6:40. We need a left fielder unless you're going to play Gavin Sheets out there. And you know what? I think Gavin's getting better in left field. I think he's getting a lot better, and he's going to get better with hard work and experience. You got to get out there during batting practice and get live. You can take all the fungos you want, but you got to get live batting practice and read the bat head and work angles, taking good angles. You don't want to take those banana routes that you see from time to time from inexperienced outfielders. I think he's gotten better. Is he going to be a Gold Glover? No. But you know what? This guy's playing with great confidence. I mean, he's doing a hell of a job. I was so happy. And a lot of you probably didn't even know about Gavin Sheets. But I knew about him because I'm one of these sickos that watches those Wednesday and Thursday morning games at 9:30 when they're playing at Chicago or Detroit. And I'd watched a lot of him the last few years. I thought that he had a lot of ability and it wasn't being brought out playing for the Chicago White Sox. So when the Padres got him on a minor league deal, I was actually pretty happy. But they need to upgrade immediately in left field. Catching, I can kind of ride that out a little bit, but you really need some help in left field. Matthew Wallow, Coach, even as a Dodger fan, the Pods and Giants have performed much better than we expected. I don't understand the doomers for the Padres. You know why? Because the Padre fans want to win so bad, and the Padre fans are so loyal. They're flocking to the ballpark. What do we got? I don't know if yesterday's game was sold out, but I know as of Tuesday night, they had 23 sellouts. It's just frustrating because the Padres basically handed the World Series championship to the Dodgers last year. And I think a lot of people are never going to forget that when they went 24 scoreless innings. Dodgers stuck it up their tailpipe. And the Padres are irritated. The fans are irritated. And the natives are restless here in San Diego. That's what I think. All right. Man, what a show tonight. Holy Toledo. Now, I want your comments. Your thoughts on the Padres, what I had to say about Mike Shildt and handling the pitching. I will definitely want your comments on Aztec baseball if you care. There may not be a lot of people out in my audience that give a damn about Aztec baseball, but I'd like your comments on that, your thoughts on Miles Byrd. And this was fun. I had a great time tonight. It was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed the program. Again, please subscribe, please like. And we'll be back in on Monday morning. Oh, man, we're going to have so much to talk about. We'll break down the Pirate series, and we'll get you ready for 4 key games with the Padres in San Francisco next week. Again, 4 in San Francisco starting Monday night. Then they're there Monday through Thursday. Then they head to Milwaukee for 3 before they come home. And they're only going to be home for 3 games and then back out on the road to Arizona and to take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. And again, the Dodgers will be here coming up on June 9th. June 9th, 3-game series against the Dodgers, then an off day on June 12th, which is a Thursday, 3 games over in Arizona, then up to LA for 4 games. So we're going to have a pretty good idea by June 20th where we stand in the National League standings. So thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate all the great loyalty, you great listeners out there and viewers, and we'll look forward to chatting with you again on Monday morning at 9 a.m. Have a great weekend, and maybe I'll see you at the ballpark on Saturday night. Be well, and thanks again for tuning into the John Kentera Show on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye.